the New Patriotic Party minority alleging that issues raised by the caucus on the floor of the House are being ignored.
According to him, several motions filed by the minority have remained unattended to for months despite repeatedly appearing on the order paper. Addressing the media on 11 March, Mr. Afenyomarkin argued that the conduct of the majority reflects a troubling pattern in which numerical advantage is used to limit the minority's ability to effectively perform its parliamentary duties. The Afutu MP emphasized that Parliament's core mandate includes providing members the opportunity to raise matters of public importance and hold the executive accountable. However, he said the minority has faced persistent challenges in getting its motions debated in the House. Mr. Afenyomarkin cited a motion concerning what he described as the mass dismissal of workers recruited into state institutions during the previous administration. According to him, the issue arose following a directive reportedly issued by the Office of the Chief of Staff after the New Patriotic Party left office. He explained that although the motion was eventually admitted in Parliament, debate on it has stalled for months. Mr. Afenyomarkin also raised concerns about the composition of parliamentary delegations to international legislative bodies, claiming that an agreed formula for representation has not been respected.
There was a letter from the Chief of Staff directing that recruitment that took place after the election should be terminated. However, state agencies decided to go back to 2017-18. People who have been in the employ of state-owned institutions, not just the civil service, since 2018 were sacked. Attempt to bring this matter to the public space remains frustrated. The first was a preliminary objection by the majority leader, and when we filed an appeal, though the appeal motion was allowed, but the debate is still in abeyance. The motion was moved, seconded, and one contributor was taken. It's been 8 months. It always appears on the order paper. We are unable to take it. Why? A motion was filed in good faith, in accordance with the rules, in respect of Bank of Ghana and the Gold Board. Since December, same was admitted and advertised on the order paper. We have been in session since we have resumed. This is our 6th week or so. Government businesses have found space, but the single business of the minority is yet to be taken. Though the will of the majority is in all cases to prevail, that will must be reasonable, that the minority possess their equal rights, which equal law.
Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa has issued a stern defense of the nation's long-standing policy against hosting foreign military bases, arguing that the escalating conflict in the Middle East proves the wisdom of Ghana's stem neutrality.
Speaking at the Chatham House think tank on Monday, 9th March 2026, the minister addressed growing regional anxieties over international defense pacts, including the pending EU-Ghana Security Cooperation, by clarifying that while Accra welcomes strategic partnerships, it will never concede its territory for the stationing of foreign troops. The minister's comments come at a time of extreme geopolitical tension as the US-Israel-Iran conflict spills over into neighboring Gulf states. Recent retaliatory strikes by Tehran against regional hubs hosting American military assets have served as a grim backdrop for Ghana's diplomatic positioning. Mr. Ablakwa noted that Ghana's refusal to host such bases is a calculated move to insulate the country from becoming a proxy battlefield for global powers. Acknowledging existing arrangements, such as the Defense Cooperation Agreement DCA with the United States, approved by the Parliament of Ghana, the minister was quick to distinguish between logistical cooperation and permanent foreign footprints. He emphasized that Ghana maintains similar strategic ties with the UK and several Gulf states, but these are strictly bound by domestic law.
Well, everybody knows that Ghana has a defense cooperation agreement with the US. approved by our parliament, and not only with the US, but with many other strategic partners, including the UK, a number of Gulf states. We do these things in our strategic national interest, and we are also careful to draw the lines. And so there's a red line. We do not accept military bases in our country. And I'm sure that what is happening in the Middle East now vindicates Ghana's position. We have historically prevented Western powers from establishing military bases in our country. And I believe that those who initially were not sure why Ghana was very stern about this position now appreciate that. Having said that, we also take the view that any cooperation, any intervention must be on a case-by-case basis, and there has to be express approval. So the recent attacks in Nigeria, the Nigerians will confirm to you that they invited the Americans, and they also reached out to Ghana to collaborate.
The Nigerians?
Yes, both the Nigerians and the Americans. So that's how we are playing this out. Sovereignty has to be respected. Territorial integrity has to be respected. You must be invited. And we must all agree on the scope of the intervention, because we do not want this to lead to another Venezuelan situation or some other, geopolitical matter.
Chief of Praso Magistrates Court presided over of His Lordship Alberta Mponsa Esquire, relieving judge has remanded 3 suspects, Edward Asiedu Kofi, Kweku, and Sadiq Donko, to police custody at Ankafo for 2 weeks in connection with the murder of a 28-year-old Ebenezer Colley. The suspects were arrested following a violent clash in Twifo-Bemponso Eja that resulted in the Colley's death.
Twifo Praso Magistrates Court, presided over by His Worship Alberta Mponsa ESQ, relieving judge has remanded 3 suspects, Edward Asiedu Kofi, Kweku, and Sadiq Donko, to police custody at Ankafo for 2 weeks in connection with the murder of 28-year-old Ebenezer Colley. The suspects were arrested following a violent clash in Twifo-Bimpong Eja that resulted in Colley's death. According to Honorable Kennedy Avonu, Assembly Member for Twifo-Bimpong Eja, the court has referred the case to the Attorney General's office as it is a murder case. The suspects will reappear in court in 2 weeks, after which the trial is expected to commence. Meanwhile, a family member of the deceased has appealed to the Attorney General to fast-track the prosecution, citing the suspect's alleged history of violence in the community, expressing concern about the safety of residents if the suspects are granted bail.
For now, Judge Pena Otidium, Yamami, or say, Sandy Bami, I would almost see what buying prison custody for 2 weeks. Now, my refer Samino Ediama Attorney General. If you want after 2 weeks' time, Nafi, or my sign Ediomaba, Asana, or my Asher, Asamidi, and Kasa, Asi. You, Midasi, Savio, a man I woman, Emra, and the Ediama, and I am Rano, and I said, the Osher so Rano Sono, a year, Sa court, and I say, court ruling into. Say buying Judge Penny, Eddie, and once I'm a banny dear, Yasum, Yajitum. And I say, and yes, if you said you were sorry, man, also Mukomran on Jamo, no more Paba, Nafi, and Sana de Ohono, Uncle Sama County, I know dear Yasum, Dana Senso.
The family is seeking justice and has urged the court to impose a 50-year sentence on each suspect if convicted, given the impact of the loss on their family.
And Kodano. Omudi bone our district match the cheni enti omontam impo we see or says one of church say okoba de ebesi no ebesin de why disakoda etifie obo sabra bone we a efi say aban eni ndi we de se kane no a anke ma mo 50 years in kwankanya bone what you say condemn ye condemn mo obi nku wa wa obewu ba sai su ba bone we na ga so yes so omo nkomra 2 weeks yenim bia be se chiri ebusia ni ebusia so wo ho se wo ma ye ma yakoma nto yeye ma ebufuo ni still I wo ho ebusia ni ebusia wo chiri na wo ni amede ma na ebusiafo ni say sa trete na mo kura se trete se omo ba koba de obese aye no ese we no.
Only 1,000 applicants will be recruited into the Ghana Immigration Service out of more than 180,000 young people who applied during the recent recruitment exercise, according to the Minister for Interior, Mubarak Mohammed Mutaka.
Addressing a press briefing on Wednesday, March 11, to clarify issues surrounding recruitments into the security agencies, Mr. Muntaka said the overwhelming number of applicants reflects the growing demand for employment among Ghana's youth. He explained that although thousands expressed interest in joining the immigration service, the institution's current infrastructure and logistical capacity limit the number of recruits it can accommodate. Mr. Muntaka noted that the service's training and accommodation facilities can only cater for about 1,000 new recruits in the ongoing exercise. The Interior Minister said the situation highlights the intense competition for positions within the security services and the broader challenge of job creation for the country's growing youth population.
With the Ghana Immigration Service, by the time we closed the portal, to our utmost shock, there were more applicants to the Ghana Immigration Service than even the Ghana Police. The total of over 180,000 young men wanted to join the Ghana Immigration Service. But the interesting thing is that today, the Ghana Immigration Service, the strength from the Comptroller General to the last officer at immigration stands as 18,300, less than 20,000. Yet you have 180,000 opting to join. And unfortunately, because of the space, the fiscal space, we could only have a space for 1,000. We could have space for only 1,000.
The Member of Parliament for Trifo and Timokwa, Honorable Theophilus T.D. Vodi, has expressed concern over the escalating water challenges in the constituency, attributing them to illegal mining activity affecting local water bodies, particularly the River Pra.
During the 69th Independence Day celebration in Trifunia Makrum, Honorable Vondi urged the community to address the illegal mining issue, emphasizing the government's designation of these areas as dangerous zones.
Youth in apprenticeship program. Illegal miners now more especially fraction yes local area. Abai said ya pamocho bia entu gold ewusu enti apano edisa akonya we ede aba ema akoma eye emebu na ewo tuwa kwa akoma iti enya tisiye emede omukusu eyema kempa kwese mana macha eye ifie ba ku yeru abade yin no sani yehu la practice ya yebehu se nenino na asesa.
The District Chief Executive, Honorable Isaac Yolson, encouraged local youth to engage in sustainable practices rather than illegal mining. Mr. Hakeem Adey, a member of the Central Regional Council of State, reassured farmers that the government has effective policies in place to support the cocoa sector.
Amambani Yuraton Dramani Mahama Ordinary Piapo. Entinano Piapo Moha. I say Yeniano Edimunam and more two and Woodrow Piapo, say Mampani Demo and see a Moka de and a pretty May Regina I had Tuesday, a brother. na yɛne ɔmanpanin ɛwɔ meeting ɛwɔ Jubilee House. Na yɛkɔɔɛ na ɛkɔdi kukukuku so. Ɛna ɔmanpanin ka sɛ saa asɛm na aba no ɔno ankasa ɔmanpanin ɔda.
The government of Ghana has strongly condemned a drone attack at Dubai International Airport that injured 2 Ghanaian nationals on Wednesday, March 11, 2026.
The government of Ghana has strongly condemned a drone attack at Dubai International Airport that injured 2 Ghanaian nationals on Wednesday, March 11, 2026. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs confirmed that the 2 individuals sustained injuries in the incident. Ghana's ambassador to the United Arab Emirates led a delegation from the embassy in Abu Dhabi and the consulate in Dubai to visit the injured nationals in the hospital. Their condition has been described as non-critical and they are expected to make a full recovery. The government emphasized that any act endangering civilians or critical infrastructure is unacceptable. Such incidents highlight the importance of protecting civilians and ensuring the safety of international transport hubs. The ministry, in a statement, said they are closely monitoring the situation and engaging with UAE officials as necessary. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs reiterated the government's commitment to the welfare and protection of Ghanaian citizens abroad and urged nationals in the Gulf region to remain vigilant and follow guidance from Ghanaian diplomatic missions and local authorities. Additionally, the government is actively supporting ongoing consultations at the United Nations aimed at establishing a framework for the protection of civilians from such threats. The ministry assured that updates on the situation will be provided as they become available.
So on this note, we're going for a quick commercial break. When we return, we'll bring you the business stories. Stay with us.
How can we some look fast? Papa, me again. Let's go. Yale. Me quite remember who hear me. Meant me and my friend doctor when I'm crossing over. See what we swear. She has malaria. Malaria. Oh, what they say with the router? Me copy the absence here. A drone a friend router mixer. Yeah, come on, let it do. And running some Gap trap and the draw crew abaso body assay. Wabo Ruta mixture abaso. Ruta natural products and one Ruta mixture. Yeah, you could see a treat. Ruta tonic and the Ruta life for a who a finish like the bunny, a finiper dream. That's support the immune system. Ruta de Obiasia, FDA, I did drinking crap to you.
Welcome back. You're still live on MBN TV with the Mega News at 6. A consortium of banks could, in the coming days, move to confiscate and auction the assets of the produce buying company PBC to recover debts exceeding 300 million Ghana cedis.
This follows a decision by an Accra High Court on March 10, 2026, to dismiss an application for a stay of execution, effectively giving the green light for the banks to proceed with the judicial sale of PBC's assets. The development means that buildings, operational facilities, vehicles, and other assets belonging to PBC could soon be auctioned to defray the debts, which could exceed 300 million cedis when interest and other charges are factored in. A consortium of banks could, in the coming days, move to confiscate and auction the assets of the produce buying company PBC to recover debts exceeding 300 million cedis. Following the company's default on its repayment obligations, the banks pursued legal action to recover their funds. The courts in 2024 ruled in favor of the banks and granted them the right to attach and sell PBC's assets. However, PBC sought a stay of execution, but the courts dismissed that application on March 9, 2026. Some industry players said if the government does not move to halt the action, the banks proceeding with the sale of the assets could pose a major challenge for the entire cocoa industry. For decades, PBC has been one of the pillars of Ghana's cocoa purchasing system. From rural cocoa growing communities to the national exports chain, the company has served as a bridge between farmers and the global cocoa market. If the auction proceeds, the country could witness the dismantling of a company that has served the cocoa sector for decades, as warehouses and offices could be sold. Vehicles that once transported cocoa across rural districts could also be taken over by private firms.
And that brings us to the end of the stories making headlines on the business front. We go for a commercial break. When we return, we'll bring you sports.
Hi, welcome to Shiloh Guest House, where comfort meets warmth. Our serene environment and cozy rooms provides a pleasant stay. To book a room with us, call 055-5940-103 and 0241-972076. Locate us at Teshinungwa Estate, number 8 Coconut Street, directly behind A-Life Supermarket. Shiloh Guest House, where comfort meets warmth.
Welcome back. You're still live on the Mega News at 6, coming to you live from our studios on the 10th Avenue Extension, Greater Estate. On the sports front, Iran has announced that it will not be partaking in the upcoming 2026 FIFA World Cup.
This was made known by the country's sports minister, Ahmad Donyamali, who said that there are no conditions under which the national team can take part in the tournament amid escalating conflict with the United States and Israel. The sports minister said the decision follows recent military strikes by the United States and Israel that killed Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei and triggered a wider regional conflict. The World Cup is scheduled to take place from June 11 to 19 July and will be jointly hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Iran had already qualified for the tournament after finishing top of Group A in the Asian qualifiers and had been drawn in a group with Belgium, Egypt, and New Zealand. The group stage matches were scheduled to take place in Los Angeles and Seattle in the United States. Earlier, the president of FIFA, Gianni Infantino, said he had received assurances from U.S. President Donald Trump that the Iranian team would be welcome to compete in the tournament despite rising geopolitical tensions. Infantino noted that the World Cup should serve as an event that brings nations together, saying global football has a role in promoting unity during difficult times. However, Iranian officials maintain that the current security and political situation makes participation impossible, raising uncertainty over whether the team will ultimately withdraw and which country might replace it in the tournament lineup.
And with the Iranian withdrawal from the upcoming World Cup, we're going for a break. When we return, we'll bring you the foreign stories.
Saturday, some local fast.
wo yale me kwa dwuma wo hia me ti mentimi antsent ma fra me doctor fra wona mkwaso wo ba
Share the information.
si wo gusu ani
Yes, malaria.
malaria oh what they say wo dey ruta me kope bia brem sisi aduro ne fe no ruta mixer ye ka malaria aduro enu ane ruta so
Gat trap and the draw ku abaso body ase. Wabo Ruta mixture abaso. Ruta natural products nduane Ruta mixture. Ya ye kutie a treat. Ruta tonic and the Ruta life wa. Ehuru efini srade bone efini paduam. Nasa support immune system no. Ruta de obi ase ye. FDA age dwede nkra to yato.
On the foreign front, a French national working for the UN in the Democratic Republic of Congo have been killed. The French president has said following reports of a drone strike on the eastern city of Goma.
2 other people were killed in the attack, but their identities have not been made public. Witnesses say the drones hit Lake Kivu and a 2-story residential building frequently occupied by expatriates and aid workers in the rebel-held city early on Wednesday morning. UNICEF said it was devastated and outraged by her death and described Boisset as a dedicated humanitarian who worked tirelessly to support children and families affected by conflict and crisis. The head of the UN mission in DR Congo denounced the escalation of violence. The M23 rebels took control of Goma, the capital of North Kivu province near the border with Rwanda early last year. The group has since 2021 seized swaths of mineral-rich eastern DR Congo, with multiple ceasefires brokered only to collapse soon after. Lad Sewat, Africa's senior analyst at Conflict Monitoring Group ACLED, said recent strikes and fighting represents the most serious threat to Goma since it was overtaken and may indicate a broader push by the Congolese military to retake areas of North Kivu.
And that's how we end this evening news at 6, coming to you live from our studios on the 10th Avenue Extension, Greater Estate. We're also live on all our social media handles on MBN 360. But before we go, let's take a second look at the stories making headlines.
Afenyo Makin accuses majority of blocking minority motions in Parliament. In business, some banks moved to sell assets of PBC over 300 million Ghana cedis debt. And on the international front, French aid worker among 3 killed in drone strikes in rebel-held DR Congo City.
For more news, log on to MBN 360. My name is El Samuel. Make a date with us, same time, same channel. Be back. Good evening.